What do you do when you feel like you just want to give up and throw in the towel?
Okay, Debbie Downer.
No, seriously, a lot of people feel like that.
Yeah, you're feeling down, disillusioned, depressed, right?
Yeah, for sure. The good news is you're not alone. And today we're talking about how you don't have to stay there.
We got some help coming your way. Let's go.
Well, hey everyone, my name is Emily, not Debbie Downer, and I'm the pastor for Epic Online. And we got Justin hanging out with us today.
What's up, guys?
Justin, you want to go ahead and get the music rolling?
Sure.
Okay, while he's doing that, I want to take time to welcome you to Epic Everywhere, a church experience designed to help you grow in your faith no matter where you're at on your spiritual journey. Yes, I like this. This is good. This is good. I also like the sweatshirt, Justin.
Ah, thank you.
A different church.
It is. I actually got this from a friend's church in Houston. Check this out.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I wore it today in honor of our Villanova team beating Houston last week in March Madness. Let's go, some Philly pride.
Yeah, hey, we love our Philly teams. We love Nova. We also love something else, Epic Live.
Yeah, hey, Epic Live, if you don't know, is our live experience in person happening at our locations around the Philadelphia area. We've got live music, live message, kids programming, and lots of hot coffee.
That's right, I'm here for that hot coffee. And if you haven't had the opportunity to check out Epic Live yet, make sure you do that if you're in the Philadelphia area. But hey, we also love Epic Everywhere, which is going down here. We out here, so shout out to everybody that's part of the Epic Online fam. We're really glad that you're here, and every time you are hanging out with us, we want to make sure that you take time to text in. Texting in is something that we do every time we're hanging out together, whether you're hanging out with us here online or at Epic Live. So Justin, you want to give us the rundown on how we text in?
All right, grab your phone and then you're going to text the word "here" to the number on the screen, and that's it.
That's easy.
Simple as that. Yep, when you do, you'll get a text back from us. Go ahead and click that link. And you can share a prayer request, and there's some other information to help you stay connected with Epic throughout the week. And along with prayer requests, if you got some good news to share, we'd love to hear about that too. Maybe you've been praying about something. Share the good news with us, and we'll celebrate with you.
Yeah, and speaking of good news, Justin, we've got some good news that we want to share with you. A couple weeks ago, we got the opportunity to take our church to the streets to serve our city. We called it For Philly Day. It was a whole day full of community outreach projects. And Pastor Will and I, we were out and about capturing some good footage, so we wanted to share it with you.
Here we are for another episode of Good Philly News. My name is Will, this is Emily. We are so excited to share with you some of the great things happening around our city and the amazing people making it happen. But Emily, this isn't any episode of Good Philly News.
Nope.
This is a special edition of For Philly Day Good Philly News.
That's right. Hey, today is For Philly Day, and we want to be able to show you all the different community outreach projects taking place across our city. Will, there is a whole bunch of love and a whole bunch of hope being spread across Philly. So what do we got up first?
We are first up hanging out at Small Things Philly.
Yeah, and the name is Small Things, but there are some big things going down right here.
Lots of big things. Well, hey, we don't want to just tell you about it. We want to show you about it. So come on in here, Taylor. What's going on, girl? So you've been here serving this morning. What's been going on?
We are packing pallets like a game of Tetris. We have ravioli, chicken, beans, my personal favorite, spaghetti. It is a full team effort.
I'm getting kind of hungry. I didn't have a big breakfast. Right? Did you eat already today?
No, and I'm very much regretting that.
So beans and spaghetti for breakfast.
I think I'll pass.
It's all good. Well, hey, thanks for being here. Much appreciated.
Thanks.
That's right. Hey, there are great things going down here at Small Things, and there's also really cool things happening across the way at Emmanuel Ministries. They're busy serving marginalized populations of our city, specifically those dealing with homelessness and food insecurity. And I love that they build community through two things, Will: food and relationships, which those are two of my favorite things.
I mean, both great things, but do you hear that? I mean, the sizzling happening in the background, good food being made. I mean, food, relationships, doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, it smells amazing in here. And we have a whole team of volunteers back here that are preparing food to be served to the community. One of those volunteers is Pam. Pam, come on in.
Get in here, girl.
So Pam, it smells just ridiculous in here. What exactly are you guys serving today?
We are serving on our menu today open-faced chicken tostadas, refried beans, coleslaw, and fruit salad for dessert.
I will take some of that, but But first, okay, y'all, why do you do what you do? Like, why do you like being here?
Okay, real simple for me. It brings me joy to serve others.
That's amazing. Like, it's good for you and it's good for other people. And that is good Philly news, y'all. And you know what else is some good Philly news? Live to serve. And this guy right here is Jay Kennedy, the man, the myth, the legend. He is the founder of Live to Serve. So, Jay, can you just break it down? What have you guys been up to today?
Absolutely. We wanted to serve the community. We've been down here since January. We're in the middle of our Engage, Enrich, and Empower initiative, where we come down and give out food and toiletries and opportunities for us to engage and connect with the community.
It's so good, Jay. And I think it's easy to be in a place like Kensington and a place like Philadelphia where the need is so great that you think, gosh, these are small things. What difference could they possibly have? What difference can they make? What would you say to somebody who's like wrestling with maybe serving, not serving, because it just doesn't seem like enough?
I heard that. I would say come down. Because once you see for yourself, the little that you think you can offer means so much to serve.
So good.
A bunch of small things with a big impact. I mean, that's huge. A lot of great things, a lot of good things going on around our city because you guys served and got involved. So thank you so much for giving of your heart and giving of your hands to serve the people of our city.
Yeah, we want you to be able to continue to stay engaged or get engaged for the first time. You can head right over to forwardphilly.com to check out projects going down with Live to Serve and a bunch of our other community outreach partners. And also, hey, you don't have to wait for a day or an organization to start serving. There are needs right where you are. So whether it's picking up trash in your neighborhood or caring for that single mom that could just use a word of encouragement or maybe providing a meal to somebody in need, get started right where you are.
Well, hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. It's been an amazing For Philly Day. I mean, thank you for being here as well, y'all.
That's right. And hey, thanks for being here for a special edition of Good Philly News. Until next time, you stay good, Philly.
Good Philly news. Great job, Em.
Hey, such good news. And it was so great to see so many of you out there putting love into action. And Just, I saw you out.
Yes, I got to serve with small things, and it was so much fun serving with the people I was with. It was a great time.
Yeah, for sure. And we want you to be able to serve wherever you may be. If you are in the Philadelphia area, you can head right over to forphilly.com. There's a bunch of different ways where you can connect with our community outreach partners and keep it going, okay? Yep. Another way that we get to serve our city is through our giving. So we make giving really simple. You just have to text the word give to that same number that we had on the screen. Super easy.
Yeah, and we always want to say thank you to everyone who gives. I hope you know that your giving is making a real difference in people's lives like we've seen through all the good news.
For sure. Well, hey, Easter is on the horizon.
Let's go.
And we want to make sure that everybody knows what's going down. So we thought it would be kind of fun to be able to do something special, a little announcement for Epic Live about all the Easter stuff. Justin, do you think you're ready for a little Epic Live cameo?
Okay, we can do this. Ready? Lights, camera, action.
Well, hey everyone at Epic Live. My name is Emily and I'm the pastor for Epic Online. I'm hanging out here with Justin, and guess what? Easter, it's right around the corner. So we wanted to give you the rundown of all the different celebrations that are taking place online and in person. And we were just talking about giving and how all the different ways that your giving is impacting our city. And we have a special opportunity to give that's coming up called the Easter offering.
Yeah, 2 times a year, Christmas and Easter, we receive a special offering where we get to give above and beyond our regular giving to support what God is doing through our church. And so that's happening next week. We want to invite you, whether you're attending online or in person, to be a part of that. And even if you've never given anything before, Easter offering is a great chance to give something and be a part of the good news that God's doing through our church.
That's right. So Easter offering happening next week. We want you all to be a part of it. And Justin, you know what else is going down next week? Easter Jam.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey, Epic Kids is bringing you an online experience. They're really bringing Easter to your living room. Yeah. It's going to be such a fun time. And actually, they're going to be handing out Easter Jam boxes at your Epic Kids check-in area right now at Epic Live. So you can pick one up over there or head right over to epic.church/kids to get your box and get registered.
All right. So, hey, all parents, make sure you're at Easter Jam. And if you're the fun aunt or you're the fun uncle, the funkle,
I like
Easter Jam.
That's right, be there. And also make sure that you are at Good Friday. Good Friday is the Friday right before Easter, and we have something special happening over on YouTube. It's just a short experience really to help us lean into the true meaning of Good Friday. So make sure that you're checking that out. And then, Justin, the big day, Easter Sunday.
Yeah, so whether you're attending online or in person, we're gonna have a special experience for you. Easter is a great time to invite some people with you in person or to share the the link online. It's going to be a good day.
That's right. Well, there you have it. All the stuff that's going down for Easter. Hey, everybody at Epic Live, have an awesome rest of your Sunday. And location pastors, we're turning it back to you. And hey, for our Epic Online fam, we want you to know that we're working really hard behind the scenes to create an awesome Easter experience for you and something that you're really proud of to be able to share with others.
Yeah, it's going to be excellent.
Dad jokes there.
I know I crack you up. Ew.
Yeah. Well, in a moment, we're going to get to today's message. But first, Epic MSC, our band, is going to be leading us in a song. And that song is really a prayer that I have for each of you, that you're able to build a firm foundation, a foundation in Jesus, that you'll really be able to experience all that he has in store for you. So come on, let's go ahead and sing.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you.
everybody. My name's Kent. I'm lead pastor here at Epic, and I'm so glad you're doing church with us today. We're actually in the middle of a series called Verses on Vinyl, Psalms in the Key of Life. And we're calling it that because, number one, the book of Psalms is a collection of 150 songs, poems, and prayers that are meant to be sung, recited, and memorized. And the second reason why we're calling it that is because I don't think there's another book in the Bible that captures the human experience better than the book of Psalms. I mean, it's page after page of people who are brave enough to put pen to paper and pour out their heart, capturing both the highs and the lows of life. In fact, there's this one psalm, Psalm 42, where the writer actually says this: my breakfast is tears. My lunch is tears. My dinner is tears. Now, I read that the first time I was actually in middle school, and I actually remember laughing. I was like, oh man, this guy's got it bad. His breakfast is tears. But then it happened. My junior year in high school, Jody Toppin slipped a note to me between classes, letting me know that she decided to date my friend, Luke Smith, instead of me. Jerk face. Like, it was not a good situation. Like, I drove home that day in puddles. I was a mess. I cranked the radio on, and I went through all my best breakup songs. Don't speak, I know what you're saying, so please stop explaining. Don't tell me 'cause it hurts. No, don't speak. Tell me, how am I supposed to live without you? Now that I've been loving you so long, although we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me. I belong to you. Unbreak my heart. Say you love me again. Undo this hurt that you caused when you walked out the door and walked out of my life. Uncry these tears. I cried so many nights. And then it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Psalm 42. Like, Tony Braxton must have read Psalm 42. Like, my breakfast is tears. My lunch, tears. My dinner, tears. And I was like, listen, I don't know who wrote this psalm, but now all of a sudden, I get it. And it was like, man, in that moment, instantly, Psalms became my favorite book. That was my jam. I just read through the pages and I'm like, yeah, me too. I totally get that, you know? I mean, that's good Bible right there. Like, I feel like you have to go through some stuff in life before you can really understand the Psalms. And that's what they're like. I mean, one after the other, they take you on this roller coaster of emotions that's not unlike real life. Now, side note, Jody eventually did come groveling back to me, just like I thought that she would. But by that time, I had already moved on to her best friend. What? Doing the Lord's work over here, just saying. Anyways, so I love the Psalms because it's page after page of unedited raw emotion that I think we can all relate to at some point in life. And so today, I want to take you through one of my favorites. It's Psalm 73. So if you use the same Bible app that I do, at the top of Psalm 73, it says this: a Psalm of Asaph. Now, I didn't know who that was, so I did what any theologian would do. I Googled him. Turns out he's a pretty big deal. This guy was the chief worship leader over all of Israel. Like, there's the high priest, and then there was Asaph. Like, not only was he the primary worship leader, but he actually got to write 12 Psalms. So this guy was so awesome, he actually got to write some Bible. Like, put that on your resume, right? Now look what he says in Psalm 73, starting in verse number 1. He says, surely God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I had nearly lost my foothold. So Asaph finishes leading worship one day and puts his guitar down. He walks back to the green room and sits down to keep working on this song that he'd been working on. And he starts by saying, hey, I know that God is good, and I know that he's good to those who love him, but can I tell you about the time that I almost lost everything? Can I tell you about the time when I was just done? Like, done with people, done with faith, done with God, done with doing the right thing, done with the world that we're living in, just done. You ever been there? You ever been in that place where you're like, man, I'm done. You ever look around your life and think, man, this is not what I signed up for. Like, this is not how things should be. This is not how I saw things going. And honestly, I'm over it. Like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm ready to quit. That's where Asaph was. He goes on and he says, let me tell you how that happened to me. And let me tell you how I came this far away from throwing in the towel and losing it all. Verse 3. He says, for I envied the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. He says, you know how this happened? He says, I started looking at the world around me. I started looking at other people and what they were doing and what they weren't doing and how it was paying off. I started to see the good that was happening in life and the bad that was happening in their life. And I saw the good that was happening to people who weren't doing very many good things. And honestly, it just didn't seem fair. In fact, here's exactly what I saw. He jumps into it. He says this, verse 4. He says, they have no struggles. Like, their bodies are healthy and strong. Like, I don't even think they get colds, he says. They're free from common human burdens. They're not plagued by human ills like male pattern baldness or having a slow metabolism or anything like that. Therefore, pride is their necklace. They clothe themselves with violence. From their callous hearts comes iniquity. Their evil imaginations have no limits. None. Zero. Zilch. They scoff, they speak, they tweet, they post with malice. With arrogance, they threaten oppression. Their mouths lay claim to heaven and their tongues take possession of the earth. Therefore, their people, they have people, like people who look to them, like somehow these are the popular ones. It says their people turn to them and drink up water in abundance. They say, how would God know? Does the Most High know anything? Like, they openly mock God. This is what the wicked are like, always free of care. And they go on amassing wealth. Can you hear the tone in his voice? Can you hear the rant as he talks? He is like, listen, like I started looking at the world around me and I'm like, what's this about? Like, what's going on here? It's like people just do whatever it is they want to do. And it doesn't even matter. It's like they don't even care. And on top of all that, they're still making bank. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how are they the ones who are blessed? I mean, here I am. I'm trying to do all the right things. Like, I'm out here on Christian Mingle. Like, ain't nobody on Christian Mingle. Are you serious right now? But I'm out here on the Christian Mingle. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start swiping right is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Tinder, Bumble, hinge myself out of this situation because I'm over it. I'm done with this. How did they end up with the girl? How did they end up with the guy? Like, they can't even spell Jesus. Are you serious right now? How did they get the job? How did they get the promotion? Like, he is so over it. And if I'm listening to this song, I think then I'd stop Asaph and I'd say, listen, look, Ace, I like your song and all, but you seem a little angry. Like, you seem a little, I don't know, upset. And I think I know why. Hey, all you have to do is follow the pronouns. I mean, 16 times in 9 verses, all of his attention is on they, their, and them. Now, let me just read you the pronouns. Here's all that he's focused on. They, their, they, their, they, their, their, them, they, and they. That's all of his attention, focused on those things. He's like, listen, I know that God is good, and I know that he's good to those who love him, but do you know what's really going on? They, and their, and they, and they, and their, and them is going on. Like, that's what's really happening. Listen, if all you ever do is focus on they, their, and them, then all you'll ever be is angry, upset, and distressed. That's all you'll ever be. And I think Asaph would say, you know what? That's true. I became angry. I became upset. I became bitter. I became distressed. And I didn't realize it, but that's when my heart began to become cold. And I think Asaph would also say, he said, man, you know, I went from looking at they and their and them, and I just couldn't help but start to compare. I couldn't help but turn my attention to poor me, myself, and I, all three of us. He goes there here in this passage. Listen to the very first line. It's a little dramatic. He says this, surely in vain I have kept my heart pure and have washed my hands in innocence. All day long I have been afflicted, and every morning brings new punishment. I'm like, bro, you hate your life. Are you serious right now? He goes on, if I had spoken out like that, I would have betrayed your children. When I tried to understand all this, it troubled me deeply till I entered the sanctuary of God. Then I understood their final destiny. Can we play that pronoun game one more time? Here we go. It's I, my, I, me, I, and I. And all of a sudden, he goes from being angry, upset, and distressed, and now he looks at his own life, and he can't help but be disappointed, disillusioned, and depressed. Surely in vain I've kept my heart pure and washed my hands in innocence. He's like, you know what? It's not even worth it. Like my faith, it's not worth it. Doing the right thing, it's not worth it. Loving other people, it's not worth it. Like, what's the point? Why am I doing this? Why does this even matter? And then just when you think he's about to give up, just when you think that there's no turning back, just when you think that you're pretty sure that this is his breakup song with God, he says this in verse 21. It's like he comes to his senses. It's like he snaps out of it for a moment. He says, when my heart was grieved and my spirit embittered, like in the first 17 verses of this song, whenever I was focused on them and they and their, I was angry and upset and distressed. When I got caught up in the comparison trap and I was thinking about how I compared to everything they had and what they had going on, man, then I found myself disappointed and disillusioned and depressed. He says this, he says, I was senseless and ignorant. You ever have that moment where you stop and you realize, man, I've been senseless and ignorant. He says, I was a brute beast before you, yet I am always with you. And he says this, you hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel. And afterward, you take me into glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? I love that sentence. I love that question. He's basically saying, who else is there? Like, even though things haven't always gone the way I wanted them to, I've seen too much. I've experienced too much. And I know who you are. I know that you're good. I know that you're great. And I do know that you're for me. And who else do I have that would give their life for me? Who else do I have that could play the role that you play in my life? Who else do I have that can extend the strength and the power that I need in my weakest moments? Who else do I have? It's only you. He says, whom have I in heaven but you? He says, and earth has nothing I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Those who are far from you will perish. And so what am I fighting with them for? I should be fighting for them. He says, you destroy all who are unfaithful to you. But as for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. I will tell of all your deeds. You, your. When I focused on them, I was angry, upset, distressed. But when I focused on myself, I became disappointed, disillusioned, depressed. And then when I finally looked to you, that's the moment I found my guide again. That's the moment I found a hand to hold again. That's the moment I found hope again, found strength again, found my purpose again, found true north again. Listen, I know this isn't like maybe the most profound thing you've ever heard, but you know what I think we can learn from Asaph? What you look at is what you see. I know. What you look at is what you see. And so if you're angry or bitter or upset or distressed, if you're disappointed, disillusioned, or depressed, maybe there's a better place to be looking. Maybe it's time to finally look up for the first time, or maybe again. I want you to look how he ends this whole passage one more time. In chapter 73, verse 28, he says this, "But as for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. I will tell of all your deeds." Listen, 3 things to focus on this week. Number 1, proximity. He says, it is good to be near God. And so as for me, I'm going to choose to be near God. He's like, hey, as long as I focus on them, they, or myself, feels like the further from God I become. And so I'm going to turn my focus toward him. I'm going to turn it toward God so I can be close to him. Listen, it's more than just accepting God's grace and mercy once. It's about walking in his grace and mercy daily. And so I hope that you would make it your habit to sit and be in God's presence. Let that be worship music or reading God's word or just being quiet for a moment. And one of my favorite verses in the Psalms is another verse that says, "Be still and know that I am God." You know, part of our challenge is that we just don't know how to be still. We're always going, we always have to have something going. God says, hey, would you be still? Would you make time so that you can know that I'm God? Would you do that? So number 1, proximity. Number 2, provision. He says, I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. And so as for me, I'm going to make God my refuge. I'm going to put my faith, my hope in him. I'm going to look to him to be my guide, not culture, not popular opinion, not even my own feelings. I'm going to look to him to be my security, to be the strength that I need, to provide all that I need. You know what that means? That means I'm not going to worry so much. Now, I'm certainly not going to worry about what I've put in his hand. Listen, we serve a God who doesn't sleep so that we can. And so why are you losing sleep over something he's already awake and dealing with? And then here's the third thing, purpose. He says, I will tell of all your deeds. You know what this does? And this reminds me that I have a purpose on this earth. And my purpose in this life isn't to make this life great. My purpose in this life is to bring others with me into the next one. Like that's the purpose of this life. And that only happens when people have a relationship or make the connection with God through Jesus. And so as for me, I know that I have a mission that I'm on. I'm going to tell others about all of his deeds. And maybe you'd say, man, I don't have a story to tell. I would push back and say, well, that's probably because you're not doing those first two things. Because if you're near and if you're trusting him, to be your refuge, then I promise you, you're going to have some stories to tell. Listen, I know that there might be some of you today who would say, man, I've never felt like Asaph. Never felt like giving up, never felt like throwing up my hands and walking away. That's not me. Hey, if you never felt like giving in, then, I'm sorry. But today's message was for those of us who've been frustrated with life. Today's message is for those of us who find ourselves just kind of flustered and angry and upset and distressed. For those of us who've been disappointed and disillusioned and depressed. For those who struggle with real things like loneliness. For those who are praying right now that God would do a miracle in their marriage. For those that are struggling with infertility, or have a kid that they're worried about, have a job situation that just seems hopeless, or a health situation that just seems beyond them. I know there's a lot of people that are struggling with some real things. Listen, be still and know that I am God. He's God. You're not. Trust him. He's got your back. It's true. Listen, if that's you, if you've struggled with some things, know that you are in good company. That you are in the company of lots of great men and women of faith who've at times found themselves focused on the wrong things. Remember, it's not them or they or their. It's not me, myself, or I. It's not even us. And a lot of this just doesn't make a lot of sense until the moment we enter into the sanctuary of God and we look up, because that's where we find his promises. And that's where we find his power. And that's where we find his provision. And that is where we find our purpose. Let me pray for you. God, we love you. We thank you so much that you first loved us. Lord, I pray that you give us the wisdom to know what to do with what we've heard. and the courage to do it. In Jesus' name, amen. I love you guys. See you next week.
Well, thanks for that message, Kent. What he said there, what you look at is what you see. You know, I definitely walked through some of those tough seasons, and it's amazing how much you look around and you're like, yeah, my focus is definitely on the wrong things, which affects how I'm thinking and feeling, and it's an awful ripple effect.
We hope that you are encouraged and equipped today. And hey, it's a great day, a great service. We've got a couple things to tell you about before we go. Number one,
just like Kent said, let's be focusing this week on proximity, provision, and purpose.
Okay. Number two,
if you haven't gotten time to text in yet, make sure that you do that right now. You can just text the word "here" to 215-999-8575. Share a prayer request
or good news.
And some good news. We want to hear about it.
And number three,
make plans to hang out with us for Easter. Hey, whether it's online, right here, or in person, we want you to be there, and we want you to invite others to be hanging out with you.
All right, Emily, before we go, I've got an Easter joke for you. You guys want to hear this?
No.
Yeah? All right. So, where does the Easter Bunny get his eggs? From an eggplant.
Of course.
Hey, I got one more. Since it's a series about music, I got one related to music, okay? Here we go. What kind of music does the Easter Bunny like? Hip hop! Oh!
Ken, can you save us from this, please?
Well, hey, thanks again for doing church with us today. If you're new, we're glad you're here. I want you to know we do church like this online every single week, and we'd love for you to be a part. Now, if you're local, we have large in-person gatherings at locations in and around the city called Epic Live. It's a full-on party, so check out our website for a location nearest you. Now listen, we'd really love to meet you, so I want to personally invite you to the welcome party. It's an opportunity for us to connect, hear some of your story, and share some of ours. So text the word "here" to the number on the screen, and we'll get you all hooked up. Hey, I really do believe that God has an incredible plan for your life, and we just want to do our part to help you discover what that is. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. We'll see you again live or online next week.